How's it going, people? Welcome to this weekend's edition, or rather, this week's edition of the Locker Room right here on Top 6 Fan TV. And it's a packed house here. We have Ian from United, Acram from the Arsenal, and the most original of Spurs fans you will ever see, Mr. Walter, who is also here to join us. Excited to see him as well. And only trophyless representative. Let me just slide that in there, my brother, but always has some good ammunition as well to hit back, and his team is certainly performing. And we'll get into recap all the weekend's action as well as that discussion on the race for top four right after this. Solid. Welcome again, ladies and gentlemen. If you're just joining us, welcome to the show. Feel free to hit the like button. Feel free to hit the subscribe button, and we'll be sure to continue to bring you some great content and great action. And I'd like to welcome the gentleman to the virtual studio, Ian Ford, Man United fan from Rwanda. You are welcome. Say what's up to the peoples.
Hey, what's up? What's up, everyone? My name is Ian Ford, an ardent Man United fan for a little over 20 years, I guess. I'm kidding. But I've been a fan of Man United for a while. And it's a pleasure to see you guys.
Brilliant. Right? Ian, now in his second year as a Man United fan, welcome. Acram, you are welcome to the show, a resident Arsenal fan.
Thank you, Mathew. It's a pleasure being here. I'm the skeptical Guna here, and I'm always happy every time I'm here.
Brilliant. And finally, introducing the guest of honor, ladies and gentlemen, Spurs Man Walter in the house. Welcome, the most original, most resilient fan of the lot. We welcome you, Walter. You can say what's up.
Guest of honor. Wow. Okay. Well, maybe I can start with my very huge CV, 22 years of supporting Spurs. So I think I'm rightfully the guest of honor indeed. It's good to be back on the show.
Great to have you back, Walter.
Thank you.
Great to have you back. Yeah. And then, of course, we will jump into the action from the weekend. There wasn't much really in terms of action over the weekend. Out of the top six, of course, there was some FA Cup action. So the likes of Liverpool, the likes of City did play, and we will not focus on them and the race for the Premier League title. But we did have some activity. On the other hand, from Arsenal, we had some activity from Spurs, and it was a fantastic weekend of activity there in the English Premier League. And I'd like to kick it off with the results for Spurs. Fantastic victory there against West Ham, 3-1 to Spurs. Walter, what were your thoughts around that game? We all thought it was going to be a tight game, but it was, Spurs obviously being at home and taking the momentum to basically put West Ham, the other London rivals, in their place. What was your take on the results, Walter?
I think it was well deserved. I was a bit worried before the game because West Ham has really been something. But like I mentioned last time, West Ham is going to keep falling. Slowly but surely, and indeed they have begun. And we dominated the match from the go until the end. So I think it was well deserved. Tottenham has improved so much. At some point, I didn't even believe that it's the same team that was playing at the beginning of the season. So yeah, I'm very excited about where we are headed. Maybe a little too late, but yeah.
Brilliant. Of course, goals coming in from what some people call the most dynamic, most exciting attacking pair in the Premier League. Heung-min Son and Harry Kane. They're combining, and Son there with a couple of goals, both assists obviously from Harry Kane there, who didn't get a goal, but Katzuma putting in an own goal to give Spurs a third goal there, rather the first goal of the game. And West Ham ensuring for a Navi finish to the game by getting one back through side Ben Rama through a set piece there. But that win was suddenly a mark on the ambitions for top four by Spurs. And Acram, do you think they're going to pose a big threat to Arsenal and Man United for that top four race, or is this just the last kicks of the season from Spurs? What are your thoughts on that, Acram?
I hate to admit, but the answer is yes. They're a very big threat. Spurs has a few quality players there that can actually win games. You could clearly see what they did in the weekend game. 2 quick goals. West Ham tried to come back in the game and they killed it off. They have an experienced coach, Conte, who is actually capable of firing them into top four. I feel like the race for top four is going to go down to the wire. It's going to go down to the wire. It's going to be. I feel like Arsenal is in form. Spurs and Man United have been struggling a bit, but looks like Spurs is gaining back their mojo. And the unpredictable, a few weeks ago they turned up and beat an uninformed Man City team, a title challenging team, and they lost a game that they shouldn't have lost, and now they are back to winning. So I feel like, yes, as an Arsenal fan, yes, I would want to say they are not a threat, but it actually says yes, they are. They are, and I am skeptical about us finishing top four. I feel we can, but at the same time, I feel it's very possible for us to slip to any of these two teams.
I hear you. Ian, what are your thoughts? I mean, Man United obviously playing with the defender of the season, Harry Maguire, in the form of his life. Do you feel that you can stave off the pressure from Spurs, let alone the Arsenal? We'll get into Arsenal, but what specifically are your thoughts around Spurs' threat to Man United's race for the top four?
Well, I think Spurs has surprised me a lot. They seem very inconsistent the past, I think, the beginning of the season. Then, of course, with Conte coming in, they seem to have gained rhythm. Yeah. And of course, with that pair of Son and Kane, you always expect some sort of damage. Yeah. But then I don't think they have that strength and depth in attack. So I don't know how they would respond with Kane or Son being out, because they're the most potent goal threats in their side. I don't see any goals coming from anywhere else, to be honest. It's either Kane or Son on the score sheet every single weekend. Yeah. Obviously, with them coming into the picture, it complicates things for us. We don't seem to have gained any sort of momentum, and with our dangerous striker Harry Maguire for opposition.
The form of his life.
He's in the form of his life. Putting in all sorts of goals in our net.
Yeah,
it's haywire, to be honest. It's haywire. To be honest, I don't know what Rangnick is going to pull. I don't know the tricks he's going to pull. Of course, going into the last 9 games of the season. But to be honest, I think Arsenal has an edge. has an edge. I don't know. Of all the three teams, it seems Arteta is the one who has a clear plan of how he wants to play, where he's actually headed. Yeah. The other teams seem to be just thriving off chaos, just a bit of chaos. And Arsenal seems to be the one that will nick it. It's a poor season from Man United. I think the best we can pull off is a fifth podium finish. But I'm still optimistic. I really hope other players can actually support, Cristiano Ronaldo in attack, to kind of lighten the goal burden. So I'm hopeful. It's very unlikely.
Yeah, and you touched on a very important point there in terms of the potency of attack. And I'll get back to you there, Walter. I mean, Harry Kane, after a very quiet first half of the season, suddenly sprung into life. And of course, the evergreen Heung-min Son, who has actually, for me, been holding Spurs afloat even during the bad times. He's been a very consistent player and a threat down that left. And for them coming into form together with the likes of Kulusevski, because between the two signings that Spurs made in the January transfer window, Betancourt is all right, but it looks like he'll take some time to settle in. Kulusevski, surprisingly, the one who is on loan, has suddenly lit up that attacking threat from Spurs, and it's the attacking three. So you do have Harry Kane, Son, and Kulusevski running at defenses and causing panic in there. So, Walter, do you feel that Spurs, specifically Harry Kane, of course, coming from breaking the record for the most away goals ever scored in the Premier League, modern day Premier League era, that is, from 1991 till now, do you feel Kane has found his mojo, and do you think he's now going to go on a run to actually cause havoc in the Premier League?
I'm actually very optimistic still that he could easily catch up with Mo Salah. As strange as it might sound, but I actually think he has really picked up, and 9 games to go. Doing the mathematics, he just needs 1 per game. Just 1.
One per game.
And on a good day, he gets his 2. And I think he'll really cause some problems. I think he's number 4 or number 5 right now.
He's number 4. He has 12 goals. Mo Salah is currently on 20 goals. Of course, we don't expect Mo Salah to also start scoring own goals like Maguire, but we expect him to
increase that tally. Yeah.
Obviously increase that tally. So it's going to be an interesting race. Certainly. Yeah, you're saying, Walter.
Yeah, but Ken has really picked up. I think it's a great time for us because I think this is the most important time where the best we can fight for is a 4th position slot. And we have a chance, but like I mentioned last time, strangely, I favor Manchester United to take that 4th spot. However,
really?
Arsenal, However, Arsenal,
Why?
I think Manchester has just a better squad at the moment. The squad that has played together for quite a longer time. They've just been having a mix of coaches. Same thing that Tottenham is having right now. Changing styles, all kinds of stuff. Same thing that we're also facing. But for them, their team is more composed, I would say. I don't understand why they are struggling, to be honest. I don't know why Manchester United is struggling, but for some reason they are. And Arsenal has the edge because they have, I think, a game in hand, if I'm not mistaken, and they're just 3 points ahead of us, of both of us. So I think Arsenal has the edge, but I'm not sure if they'll be able to run all the way. But they're on a very good run of form, so it's going to get exciting as we keep progressing. But I'm doubtful that Tottenham will make it to fourth. But I'm really hopeful that window is still there. We are still picking up, but I'm not sure. Unless we were to face off with Arsenal and Manchester United again and stop them.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's
Walter,
see.
you're right to be fearful of the Arsenal, and of course they have been on form. I mean, this is on a serious note a cocktail of very interesting dynamics at each of the three clubs. One, you have the club from Manchester, arguably, or not arguably, but the biggest club in British football, and of course one of the biggest globally. With the best squad out of the three on paper in terms of quality, pound for pound, right? But they have a rubbish manager. Well, no offense against Ralph Rangnick. He has really, basically spent quite a bit of time in football management, but more so from a technical director perspective. But he's not the guy to sort out United, especially in the current state that they're in. Two, you have Spurs with not as good a team or as good a squad in terms of quality, bar the front. Let's say two or three players. Let's say four players. Son, Ken, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, who for me is a very big presence in midfield, and then the goalkeeper, Hugo Lloris, who a lot of times people forget, but he's quite a decent goalkeeper. But you have a very solid manager. And for me, I feel Spurs are riding the momentum of having a very solid manager who has basically driven a mentality shift out of the Spurs way, so to speak. And he's the driving force behind that team, in my eyes. And then three, you have the scenario that both clubs seem to be craving, a process that is moving in the right direction. Not yet there, but a process that is moving, seems to be moving in the right direction from the Arsenal with Mikel Arteta at the helm. The team seems to be settling down. Youngest squad on average in the Premier League. Very interesting signings, very spot on signings, and the youth carrying this team, albeit without a recognized formidable striker. You cannot compare Arsenal to the striking of Man United and Spurs right now. But looking at this player comparison that we do see here, two of the key players there for both teams. You compare Son to Bukayo Saka. Son is where Bukayo Saka is going to be in 5 years' time, to be honest. But, looking at 26 appearances there, comparison, 13 goals in the Premier League, Bukayo Saka with 9, 5 assists there for both players, so they're level on assists. I'm not going to the others. Clean sheets, saves, of course, don't count from an attacking point of view. But Bukayo Saka, and we will move into Arsenal, you are able to see the kind of lift that he has given Arsenal over the last few games, especially since he burst onto the scene. And you can see that he's not too far behind Son with regards to the statistics, right? In terms of goals, he's just 4 goals behind. He's level on assists, and this is a guy who's he's turning 20 this year. Son is 29, and so you can see Son is at his peak. Saka is just starting, so the sky is the limit for him. But moving on to the Arsenal, fantastic result there from Arsenal over the weekend. 1-0 to the Arsenal away to Aston Villa. The goal coming from none other than yours truly, Bukayo Saka, the man. And of course, you can see the rest of the team also excited about Van Leno making a crucial last-minute save from a Coutinho free kick at the end. Acram, your thoughts on that match and the performance in general?
King Bukayo saved the day. And basically, Arsenal, we have had a good run of form. We have collected 28 points from the last 11 games, losing just one and drawing the other in the last 11 games. That's a title challenge form. I'm not saying we are title challengers, but that's a form that a team that's chasing for a title normally goes into. So the biggest question with for how long for how long are we able to keep it going, and that should solve the mystery whether we can finish top 4 or not. When you look at our squad, we have a very thin squad. We have played, I think, the same 11, bar one or two players that we have changed in like the last since the time we got rid of Aubameyang. So someone can argue and say we are one injury away from capitulating, or maybe one of our biggest tests this season. And in my observations, actually, because I've had these conversations with many Arsenal fans, I believe the biggest difference we have right now, the Arsenal that's playing right now and the one that was playing at the beginning of the season, is the way Thomas Partey stepped up. I feel like he is the pivot of the team right now. You can see in the last 10 games, he has created almost man of the match performances. Very, very instrumental. Just one injury or one bad game from him, and we can easily see where this team is heading to. Speaking about the Aston Villa game, it's a game that I was so worried about. We were playing 3 strong teams in 6 days in Leicester, Liverpool, and Aston Villa. Yes, and most of us were actually comfortable, because I remember sharing something in our WhatsApp group and ask how many points would you take, asking Arsenal fans how many points would you be comfortable taking from these 3 games, and many people were saying if we can get 1 win and a draw and maybe lose the other one, that would be a really good one. So seeing that we got 6 points from those 3 games actually clearly shows what this team actually wants to achieve. And it was a very big win. You could even see from the way the players really celebrate. It was a very big win for us, and it puts us in a very good position as far as top 4 is concerned. But how we respond to the few games that we're going to have, we actually have a quite comfortable fixture. If you look at our next 5 games, but the small margins between us and the other teams are going to come up. I think it's going to go down to which particular player gets injured and how vital. If Spurs loses Son or Kane, how vital can they respond? And who is Arsenal going to lose in the next 9 games? And Man United, we all know.
Yeah, if Ronaldo gets injured, that will be a challenge there. They have struggled without him. Yeah, so ideally, Acram, I hear you there. I think in addition to that, that's a very good point you make in terms of which of the 3 teams can, whichever of the 3 teams manages to keep their top players fit will have an edge. But I believe it is also going to be very interestingly in the games that they play against each other, because Arsenal still has to face Man United and Spurs, and of course those other two squads. Looking at, let me just run through very quickly, since we have done Spurs. Quickly run through the last game Spurs has to face over the season. They resume their Premier League fixture list on 3rd April against Newcastle. Then after that they have Aston Villa, after which, Newcastle at home, Aston Villa away, Brighton and Hove Albion at home, Brentford away, Leicester City at home, Liverpool, that's a big one. They go to Anfield on 7th May, and then they have Burnley, they host Burnley, who will be fighting relegation in the second last game of the season. That could be a tough one, depending on whether Burnley has been relegated or not. If Burnley haven't been relegated and there's a chance, that will be a very tough game for Spurs, I think. And then they'll finish the season away to Norwich, who I fear for, really the writing is on the wall for Norwich. I think they will be relegated. And of course, the game in hand, which is supposed to be rescheduled, is against Arsenal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So some tricky games in there against Arsenal and Liverpool. Possible 6-pointers reverse for Spurs. So it could be quite interesting there in the league. And for the Arsenal, if you look at their next few games, the last few games of the season, the next game is away to Crystal Palace, which is a tricky tie, obviously, against Patrick Vieira, well-organized team. Then they host Brighton and Hove Albion. Then they go away to Southampton, tricky game. Then they go to Stamford Bridge to play Chelsea. And 3 days later, they welcome Manchester United to the Emirates. And then the following weekend, they are away at West Ham. So very interesting games there. Before welcoming Leeds to the Emirates. Leeds, of course, now are starting to get a new manager bounce. We've seen positive results in their last 2 games. And then they go away to Newcastle, who I believe will be safe by this time, and then end the season at home to Everton, who also, depending on how things are going, if they are being threatened with relegation, that could be a very tricky game with the character of Frank Lampard. So looking at the 2 London teams, and we will go into the United fixtures as well, Ian, don't worry. Ian, who do you feel has the edge looking at those 2 fixture lists?
Between
Spurs and Arsenal. Between Spurs and Arsenal. Who has the easier running?
That's a tricky one. I think Arsenal still has an edge. I think going into the final games. Yeah. And
you think so?
Arsenal is riding on a lot of confidence right now, the same as Tottenham. But I think Mikel Arteta sees this as the last, as the last chance, to kind of prove himself at the top level. Of course, there's been a lot of mockery, about his coaching. People saying he's inexperienced. I don't think he can really quite make it at the top level. So I think he has a point to prove, and he'll go out guns blazing. Yeah,
I think so. Walter, your thoughts on the run-in? Who was the easier run-in between Spurs and, or rather, the most winnable run-in stretch between Spurs and Arsenal?
I think ours is just a bit easier.
I also thought so. Spurs seems to have the easier run-in because they don't have Chelsea. I mean, Arsenal have Chelsea, United, and Spurs, plus West Ham.
Yes.
West Ham away. So Chelsea away, West Ham away, and Spurs away. 3 very tricky away games for the Arsenal. So for me, Arsenal season, as much as we're riding, a very euphoric wave right now of form and great play, for me, those will be the biggest tests of the season and determinants of whether we want to, whether we will be able to qualify for the Champions League as the Arsenal faithful. And that is all from the 20th of April to, let's say, the 1st of May. Those 3 games, against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, against Manchester United at the Emirates 3 days later, and then the following week against West Ham away. Not to mention Spurs, the possibility of the Spurs game being rescheduled somewhere in between there. So April is make or break for the Arsenal. If they come up with positive results, I think it will be a great time for them.
Mathew, I actually believe Spurs has the easier fixture compared to the rest. But I think the race for top 4 is more than just a fixture. I think it's not. You are assuming that these teams are going to sweep these other middle table teams, and which is not going to be the case. I actually think you see how Spurs came up and beat Man City. Right. Spurs could actually come out and beat another team. Arsenal could comfortably come and win against Man United or Chelsea. I feel like the race for top 4 is going to be tiny margins, and it's going to be games that people actually least expect. Very, because you see, look at Arsenal's fixture. It's very easy for Arsenal to lose their next 2 games, Crystal Palace and Brighton. It's very, very easy. And now losing those 2 games actually changes the whole game. It changes this entire conversation. Yeah, so you realize just one injury on Partey or one injury on Saka or maybe Kieran or even Gabriel can actually create a lot of problems. And the same thing can actually be said to Spurs and Man United. So I feel like 9 games is still a long way to go. And I feel I don't want to agree with you that the most important games are going to be against Spurs, Chelsea, and Man United. No, I don't think so.
Brilliant, brilliant. And of course, looking at, we're going into the United discussion. And of course, out of those three teams, the two most talented strikers of the lot, Harry Kane and Cristiano Ronaldo, if you're doing a player comparison, the stats and comparisons by the courtesy of the Premier League website. So feel free to go down to that. But being able to look at that, very interesting statistics there. 24 appearances, for Ronaldo, 28 for Harry Kane, but you can't see Ronaldo 11 goals with Harry Kane there on 12 apiece. Harry Kane leading the assist charge, and then obviously the others are not easy attacking stats to go by. But on goals and assists, you can see that Harry Kane is actually leading Cristiano Ronaldo if you combine the goals and assists, goal contributions, let's say. Total goal contributions. So Harry Kane has definitely picked up form, but Ian, I'd like to pull you in. How crucial is Cristiano Ronaldo to Man United's chances of finishing in the top 4? We saw what he did in the last game. Unfortunately, Man United did drop out of the Champions League to Atletico Madrid midweek last week, but before that, they dispatched of Spurs quite impressively, 3-2, and it does look like when Cristiano Ronaldo is in that team, he can produce something special, as we have seen over the years. Do you feel Cristiano Ronaldo will be at the edge, or do you also think the returns of, in my view, the return of other key players such as Pogba and Rafael Varane, specifically those two, if they get into a good run of form with Cristiano Ronaldo also staying fit, it could be interesting. They're out of the major camps. So they also have some good rest time. Ian, your thoughts?
Yes. First of all, I think Ronaldo's value to the team is, I don't know, he is invaluable to the team, as you can see. For a 37-year-old, stretching the league this much, of course, he knows the league really well. So it shouldn't be a surprise that he actually has this goal return. Yeah. So a man of his history, a man of his quality, yeah, should be able to pull in the numbers at any point of the season. My only worry is his support system. I'm really not happy with the goal return of the other team members. Specifically, Rashford. Rashford has been crying out, for probably a new contract. So I think that noise will kind of distract, I think, the team in a way. So I think Ronaldo is going to get more goals. That is for sure. But support system is what I'm worried about. Elanga has tried to pull his weight in the past couple of games, trying to support here and there, but I do not know if he has, the pedigree, to kind of push the team over the line. Yes, so many questions. I've noticed Ronaldo, despite of course his freak physique, of course, he started picking up those niggling injuries, and it could be costly in those final games. Yeah,
Right.
of course, when you look at the fixtures that are coming up, the next 5 games are not easy. When you have Leicester City, then you have, of course, Arsenal and Liverpool. You need everyone to pull their weight. So,
Right.
yes.
Right. Yeah, and it's interesting you mentioned the fixture list, right? Because you do have, looking at Manchester United's running with their last few fixtures. The next game, 2nd of April, obviously after international break, is against Leicester at home to Leicester City, who seem to be starting to pick up a bit of form. Then they go away to Everton, and of course, we all know Frank Lampard is under pressure to deliver results. And Everton, even from the Faggy days, have always been a boggy team for United, especially at Goodison Park. So we're not sure how that is going to turn out. And then I would say an easy one, welcoming Norwich City to Old Trafford, before then going to Anfield to play, your perennial rivals, and of course, bragging rights there will be at large for whoever wins that game, because if Man United beat Liverpool, they bent Liverpool's chances of winning a record equaling trophy in terms of Premier League. But if Liverpool win that one, depending on how results go on the Arsenal side and with Spurs, it probably will be probably be a big dent to United's chances of top four. Then after Liverpool, what is this? 5-6 days later, Manchester United go to the Emirates to play.
4 days later, actually.
About what? 4 days later? No, less than a week. Yeah. So that's Liverpool, then Arsenal, and then you go back into some easy games there. A week later, you welcome Brentford to Old Trafford. Then you go away to Brighton and Hove Albion, and then the second last game of the season, you welcome the Blues, Chelsea, to Old Trafford, and then finally closing it out away to Patrick Vieira's Crystal Palace. Those are some tough games for Man United.
To be honest, I'm an optimist, but looking at the fixture list here, it's a tight one. Of course, there's Norwich that will probably give us some relief. But then when you look at Leicester City, of course, trying to get back into the groove. Then you have a title-hungry Liverpool. Then you have an Arsenal that is rejuvenated. You honestly wonder what the chances
Chelsea.
Yes, so it's a mess. I do not think Rangnick has all the solutions. Clearly, you can see he's still trying to get the team to gel. He has some unreliable people at the back, like you can guess.
Our man there, breakout striker of the season.
Yes, so to be honest, it's a tough one. I'm really hoping that everyone can be back to full fitness, especially Rafael Varane. Varane has failed to pick up a rhythm. I think the pace of the Premier League has shocked him out of his skin. So I'm really hoping he can come in, and probably Rangnick can have the balls to kind of drop Maguire. Yeah, finally, that will be a huge statement. Then, of course, if you can pick up a win against Leicester City, that can push us. Of course, 7 days later to Goodison Park, where we can, tussle it out with Lampard. If we can get about 6 points there, then I think the next games we can grind a few results, but it won't be easy, certainly.
Yeah, surely we expect Manchester United to beat up on Leicester, Everton, and Norwich. Those are 9 points. I mean, Walter, looking at this running for Man United, are you worried? Of course, out of this, we'll always be tempted to look at the big games. That is against Chelsea, Liverpool, and Arsenal. And those 3 games, those potentially vulnerable 9 points is what we all look at and sense that there might be some points dropped there. Do you agree with that, or do you feel United will pick up steam and just, steamroll all these guys?
I'm still having the faith in them, though they are really, really shaky at the moment. But I'm still having the faith in them. for some reason. I don't know. Maybe I should be supporting Manchester United at some point. But I really
my man, stay strong, stay strong. I know these are tough times, but
for some reason, I just believe that they will make it, though they are really struggling. And for them, I think it won't be just the top teams, like you're saying. I think they are really going to have to pull their A game for all the games because of how they have not been very consistent and they're not really pulling in the results they need to pull in. So I think even for them, the smaller games are going to be tough, and maybe they actually need to focus more energy on the smaller games because the big games. I mean, if you're going to play Chelsea there, who has whipped Tottenham all 4 times out of 4. And that is not a nice encounter. Though Manchester United can actually match them, but they really need to focus on the smaller ones, make sure they get all those points, and then have a good fight with the so-called big teams, and that's where they actually stand a chance. Otherwise you'll find that Manchester United is dropping points against the small teams, and then gets a draw with Chelsea, manages to beat Arsenal, and it won't help because the smaller teams are the ones where you really need to collect all those teams.
The points. Yeah, brilliant. I couldn't agree with you more. Finally, Acram weighing into the Manchester United debate there. Your thoughts on that run-in? Looks tough, and do you feel that Manchester United? I mean, we've spoken about the influence of Cristiano Ronaldo. We've spoken about. I definitely did call out the fact that the guys returning from injury, Pogba and Varane, could give them a lift. But let's not forget the qualities of Bruno Fernandes as well in that midfield. And as you can see from these stats so far, the king of the match player stats there, basically the guys who have won the most man of the match awards in the Premier League. Not surprised to see Mo Salah there at the top, but very interesting. You do see, and this is the influence of Spurs attacking threat. Heung-min Son there with 9 wins. Cristiano Ronaldo, ever dependable, coming in with 8 wins. And then, Mikel Antonio and then Bukayo Saka coming back in there representing the Arsenal. So the 3 teams seem to be represented with some quality players in there. But Acram, finally, your take on that Man United running. Where do you think they will slip up if there is a slip? Yeah, Acram, looks like your audio is messed up. So yeah, no, we definitely lost you there on the audio. Yeah, but Akram, we'll come back to you. But moving on, guys, we need to wrap it up, and we'll come back to Akram at the end. Your final predictions for the top 4. Who finishes in the top 4, or rather, who gets that 4th place? I think there's a bit of consensus around that Chelsea is likely to finish 3rd, most likely, unless they lose 2 or 3 games, because that will then suck them into the top 4 race, and that will make things very interesting. But currently, Chelsea do look like they'll finish 3rd. Ian, who's going to win? Who do you see is going to win the race for the 4th spot out of those 3 teams? Spurs, Arsenal, and United.
Well, sentiments aside, obviously I'll go with Man United, but if I use logic and going by everyone's previous results, I think Arsenal will nick it. Then probably 5th, we shall come in 5th. Then Tottenham.
Spurs in 6th.
Yes.
Walter, do you agree with that assessment? Who do you think is going to finish 4th? 4th, 5th, 6th. What are your predictions?
Right now, it looks like Arsenal is in pole position for 4th, looking at their run in form. Yeah. And
you guys are playing mind games. You're playing mind games on the Arsenal fans team.
No, it's not mind games. It's what's happening on the pitch. They're actually getting current state, Arsenal looks like number 4, and they look like the perfect number 4, and Tottenham seems to be number 5, and Manchester United number 6. If it was to end in the next 4 games, I believe that's how it would end. But if we go until the end, I'm still giving Manchester United a chance to take back its 4th position.
Brilliant. And finally, Acram, hopefully your audio is back on. Who do you think is going to finish 4th, 5th, and 6th? Man, Acram, sorry, we'll have to cut you short there. Unfortunately, your audio has killed it for you. But I can tell from your heart of hearts, you know that Arsenal is going to finish 4th. Difficult to say between United and Spurs who will finish 5th and 6th. But if it was up to Arsenal fans, wouldn't mind Spurs finishing as far away from the Arsenal in 6th place, with a respectable finish there for Manchester United in 5th place. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. We have to bring the show to a close. Thank you for joining. Feel free to hit the like button. Most of all, subscribe and share this link as widely and as widely as you can. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on the show. We'll look forward to having you next time. And that's it for tonight. And that's it for this week. We'll catch up with you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Cheers.
Peace. Bye.